services needed for building material dealers, home improvement centers, and industrial customers. They offer everything from engineered wood and plywood to Drex decking and railing, James Hardie siding, and Advantech subfloor. Located at 33 Fowler Street Extension in Westfield and on the web at bc.com, they are committed to providing quality products, great service, convenience, and value. One of our underwriters here at WSKB's Community Radio is Carson Center for Health and Human Services, a nonprofit organization located at 20 Broad Street in Westfield. They provided behavioral health and rehabilitation services in communities throughout Western Massachusetts since 1963. There are services for children, adolescents, adults, families, and couples. You can find them on the web at carsoncenter.org or at 413-572-4132.
This is Ken Stomsky from Ken's Den on WCPC 15 and 89.5 FM, Tuesdays, 8 to 10.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. Welcome to Tiger Talk Live. All things Westfield Technical Academy. You're in the flow with Rob, well, with Joe. Rob is in transit, I believe. Producer Pete, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing okay. How you doing in there?
You know,
It's been busy.
that's an understatement. Yeah, it's funny. I was talking to somebody the other day, and a friend of mine who said to me, you know, you must, in a certain sense, you must be kind of grateful with all this pandemic stuff. You got half of the students in your building that you normally do, and it must be a lighter lift. And I broke out into a fit of hysterical laughter. It's been anything but. Actually, I think it's busier in certain respects as a result of the pandemic. But I know you've been busy.
Just a tad, and it's only going to get worse from here because Bob Plass has us on Decemberfest watch. We went from doing all the senior center stuff, and that's kind of got a lull right now. And now we're taping a whole bunch of stuff for Decemberfest. So all the stuff that Westfield on weekends would normally do out in the community, tree lightings and things like that, we've had to convert and put on television. So we taped a show with the Interfaith, 2 shows with the Interfaith ministers of Westfield State called Around a Common Table.
Yeah, one of my,
And we did
Father Warren Savage, one of my old and dear friends.
right, and all the ministers in the area, including a sheikh from the Muslim faith, a cantor from the Jewish faith, and several Protestant ministers from the area, and we had 2 one-hour roundtable discussions talking about all things religion, and it was a lot of fun actually.
Oh, I would have enjoyed that. You know, that's kind of one of my wheelhouses, Pete.
Yeah, those are up on. Well, they're up on YouTube if you want to watch them. So
Yeah.
we've done a lot of stuff going on with that. We're taping some more music. We did something with the Keepers here for the Senior Center, and we're doing something with Ed Orgill from Westfield State University, and the Westfield High School Jazz Bands are coming down here to tape
Yeah,
next
I was
week.
aware of that.
Yep, next Monday they'll be down here in the afternoon after school, and we're going to tape a whole bunch of stuff. So this studio is hopping right now.
Like everything else around here, believe me, we've been in overdrive since before, as you know, since before Thanksgiving. I wanted to give the community a shout out because I haven't had an opportunity to since Thanksgiving, for the overwhelming response to our Thanksgiving food sale in culinary arts.
Over 300 meals is what I heard
Yeah,
from Chef Mucciaroni. Mooch?
Something on the order of 300 pies.
God knows how many pies.
It was over. It was at or over 300. Same for meals. Individually packaged meals, sides. It really exceeded our expectations in ways that we couldn't have imagined.
Yep.
This time of year, that department in particular relies on the community for a lot of its revenue, particularly by means of the Thanksgiving buffet and then typically in December, the Christmas buffet. Because of the COVID restrictions, we can't have those kind of events. So the department chair, Chef Phil Mucciaroni, approached me, as did Chef Eric Rogers.
How about Plan C?
Well, yeah. Do
You
you think we could do this? And I said, that's not a question for me. That's a question for you. You know your capacity. You tell me if you can do it. If you can, I'm all for it. And it was such a hit that we've decided to do something similar for Christmas. So,
I saw that. I'm trying to determine if I just want a cookie tray or one of the appetizers.
One of each. So yeah, our culinary department has cookie trays and appetizers and hors d'oeuvres for sale. For whatever your holiday gathering needs are going to be. I'm not going to discuss numbers. That's a private affair.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
But yep, you can call Tiger's Pride directly. You can call the main office of the academy, and as always, the community's patronage is greatly appreciated. Again, shops like culinary, which are service oriented and rely on the community for a lot of their revolving revenue, are particularly hampered this year. So any way that we can work around the pandemic restrictions, we're happy to figure out, and we're grateful for the ongoing support of the community, because again, completely exceeded our expectations. I was talking to the guys, and they thought, we sell a couple hundred pies, we maybe sell 100 dinners. We've never done it before. Nobody could have guessed the numbers that we're going to be prepared for. And then the distribution, which I had a few concerns about, just because it's the first time we've done it, and the first time that you do anything is always a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah. Just like SpaceX yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. Went off without a hitch. I couldn't have been more pleased, and I want to thank a few people for that. I want to thank our CTE director, Mr. Talumis, who kind of coordinated all of the flow of traffic
staging
and the outside staging. I want to thank Casey Berube from the DPW, who hooked us up with cones. I want to thank all of the kids in culinary. If you saw it out there in the gym foyer, it was a huge operation, and it went without any hitches. It was flawless. So
I heard Liz from up here helped out with the logistics part of it. It's amazing.
That was another thank you. I wanted to thank Liz Kane, our shop assistant in graphics, who not only helped with the flow of traffic, but was also instrumental in producing the brochure and coordinating some of the non-culinary associated tasks that went with getting something like this off the ground.
So have you noticed we have
phenomenal
some new technology here in the studio?
Look
at this shot.
Yeah.
Where is that coming from?
It's not my wheelhouse, Pete. You got a camera?
Yeah, you see it? You see
this
it?
One here.
Have you noticed it? No, look at how far back I'm going. Look at the monitor. I can see the whole studio now. There's a
Very confused.
There's a little white device on top of the filing the cabinet up there.
Oh, over there. I'm thinking behind me. Okay,
yeah,
I see it now. It's like the all-seeing eye over there.
Yes, and I have remote control of it from in here, so it's a remote camera that I can zoom. I can zoom all the way into you guys, but it's a new device and the nice thing about it is that I could potentially deploy that in the school, just a single camera if we had to record an event somewhere. And if I plug it into the network, it can come all the way back to here, and I can put sound up there and plug it right into the camera up there and control it from the studio.
So that means we have dual capability, right? You can have a fully manned studio, or you can have a fully
I'd like to have at some point have an unmanned component to the studio as well. So if I'm here by myself, I can change camera shots and stuff like that and not have to run back and forth to the studio every 2 minutes.
It's like being Oz behind the curtain.
Isn't it pretty cool?
Amazing.
We're continuously. I originally wanted to buy that. I'm going to buy that one of those for the senior center when it opens back up, so that we can do when they have events in the great room like singers or speakers or whatever, hook it up to their sound system. So if they're using the sound system over there, I'll have a feed and I can record the speaker from here.
Live feed.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
isn't that pretty wild? The technology.
Makes me feel old. That's all I can say.
Yeah, so we keep improving around here. Slowly but
Continuous
surely.
quality improvement. CQI here at the Westfield Technical Academy
Yep,
Studio
and
120.
eventually I'd like to have enough equipment to build the studio at Westfield High School. That's my goal.
Really?
Yes.
Do you have some geography?
I haven't got a space yet because there was a television studio up there in the 70s.
I recall somebody
and
telling
now it's
me
office space, which I'm kind of bummed about because I wanted to, before they got to it and took it out of storage, I wanted to revive it as a TV studio, but
Well,
I think I missed the boat.
I don't know who's in there. Throw them out.
Well, we'll talk to the superintendent about that.
Sorry.
But
We
yeah,
have
that
connections, if you will.
you could conceivably have control room up there, or it could be run from down here. That's the point
That's
I want to get it
amazing.
to. Yeah.
You're going to buy locate, Pete.
Yeah, that's
Very
how I
interesting.
want to get it to that point. So it's lots of cool technology we keep learning around here, and the video and program now has 2 more field cameras, and we have a total of 5 tripods. So we will share them all, but they can deploy now 5 cameras if they need to, 5 field cameras.
Sweet.
It's getting pretty impressive around here.
It's amazing. I'm continually astounded at how much growth has occurred around here in the not quite 5 years it's going to be 5 years at the end of this year, which doesn't even seem possible.
Yep.
Mr. O'Leary.
Growth and development.
That's right. ISO 9003, if you will.
Oh,
Welcome. It's good to see you.
Good morning, everybody. Got the crew.
Now it's finally
Guys.
the Rob and Joe show.
We're finally in the flow.
The better looking member of the pair here for sure.
Sorry I'm late, guys.
It's
Got tied up.
it's
Hard to go from A to B in this building without getting hoodwinked. Without getting stopped.
Hey,
by-
we are running a school.
We are
after
running
all,
a
I
right?
can
cool.
easily
So,
fill in
We
as
take our
co-host
mask
for a
off.
while.
What's
So
That's it.
What's our protocol? Okay, I want to be in
We do- we-
compliance. Okay.
So, Pete and I were just catching up on a couple of things, thanking the folks for their participation in our Thanksgiving culinary food sale and encouraging them to buy early and buy often for Christmas.
Sure.
We don't want to forget today, too, that our horticulture technology department has wreaths and poinsettias and tables.
Are kissing balls special order only, or are those available?
I'm not sure. I don't want to misspeak, but they are. I was just down there. They are making some. There are dining room table centerpieces. So you're welcome to come shop. I believe we're going to be accessing the shop through the back entrance from 10 to 2. Again, anything that you can do to support our horticulture department would be deeply appreciated. Already, we've published the flyers on Facebook and it's gotten the word out a couple of other ways, and they're pretty overwhelmed. I was in, you know how deep I was in Mrs. Langoni, if you will. Kissing balls.
Personally funding big portion of the budget yourself.
So I was just down there today because I forgot one thing. I forgot the centerpiece for Christmas. So
Well, you're a good hubby, Joe.
I'm a terrified hubby, is
Make
what it
Mrs.
is.
Langoni happy.
I'd be very afraid.
And
Even if she's
culinary's
angry, keep her
doing
happy.
Doing some products for Christmas.
Yes, we
Did
were
you
just
talk
talk-
about
yeah.
that. Okay. Yeah.
We have cookie trays, cheese platters, crudité.
Stuffed mushrooms.
Mushrooms, scallops wrapped in bacon. I'm sure I'm missing something.
Yeah, I should have grabbed the flyer.
And also, if you're in the neighborhood or if you're at work today and you need lunch, even though the Pride is not open because of the COVID restrictions, don't forget we do have grab and go via curbside pickup. So it's just a phone call away. I don't have the menu with me. I do know there is a crispy chicken Caesar salad because that's what I ordered for lunch, but I forgot what the entree is. I'll look it up during the break.
Yeah, there's some paninis. We
Yeah.
got a steak and cheese wrap.
Mr. Daly's wheelhouse there.
Yeah. So We're still trucking along here at the tech. Got the aviation crew in the house.
I was just going to get to
Yeah,
them.
can't wait to.
Pete, when do you want to take a break? I'm looking at the clock. Do
You want to do it now?
Yeah, why don't we do that? That way we don't have to introduce and then
You get some
interrupt
running
them.
room?
Yeah.
Yeah, Alex got a lot to say.
Oh, Alex is Alex is the reason they're here today. So, all right, so
we'll take the break.
please stay tuned, and we'll be back.
Don't want a lot for Christmas. There is just one thing I need. I don't care about the presents underneath the Christmas tree. I just want you for my own, more than you could ever know. Make my wish come true. All I want for Christmas is you. I don't want a lot for Christmas. There is just one thing I need. Don't care about the presents underneath the Christmas tree. I don't need to hang my stocking there upon the fireplace. Santa Claus will make me happy with a toy on Christmas Day. I just want you for my own, more than you could ever know. Make my wish come true. All I want for Christmas is you, baby. Oh, I won't ask for much this Christmas. I won't even wish for snow. I'm just gonna keep on waiting underneath the mistletoe. I will make a list and send it to the North Pole for Saint Nick. I won't even stay awake to hear those magic reindeer play. 'Cause I just want you here tonight, holding on to me so tight. What more can I do? Oh, baby, all I want for Christmas is you. Baby, all the lights are shining so brightly everywhere, and the sound of children's laughter fills the air, and everyone is singing. I hear those sleigh bells ringing. Santa, won't you bring what I really need? Won't you please bring baby to me? Oh, I don't want a lot for Christmas. This is all I'm asking for. I just wanna see my baby standing right outside my door. Oh, I just want you for my own, more than you could ever know. Make my wish come true. Oh, baby, all I want for
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
Join us every Thursday morning
from 6 until at least 7:30.
Check out the Bobby G and Company Show
right here on WSKB 89.5
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning again, Westfield. Welcome back to Tiger Talk Live. All things Westfield Technical Academy. Back in the flow with Rob and Joe. Mr. Olari.
We go from Mariah Carey to tragic plane crashes.
We're all over the spectrum
We're all
today.
over the place here.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, what I see in front of you is the first Lekrensky report of the 2021 school year.
Well, as you know, Joe and listeners, attendance is a huge part of what we do here at not only at Westfield Tech, also in the district of Westfield. Our own Chris Rogers leads that committee because we need kids in school. We need kids engaged in learning. So I'd like to just give you some recent numbers for the Lekrensky report. Starting off with our 9th graders. Let me put my glasses on because I can't
Please.
see. We came in about 90%. Our 10th graders led the pack last week at 93.6. Ooh, 11th graders. As I give them a stare, 87. We got to work on that, guys and gals. And our 12th graders, almost 92%. So good job, 12th graders. We want to get that up to 95% across the board. We understand it's difficult times, but attendance matters, and let's get those numbers up.
I would like to point out, too, that in the case of the 9s and the 12s who are doing academics remotely this week, the fact that attendance is still over 90% in this current climate is remarkable. Because I have to be honest, if I were in a similar situation, if I had to do school remotely, knowing my personality, I'd have checked out a long time ago. So I want to give our 9s and our 12s especially a shout out, but also the 10s and 11s who are doing the same thing on their academic side of the schedule as well. It's always a tricky balancing act being a Tech high school student in a normal situation because you're balancing that academic load with your CTE work, with your vocational work, but to do it in a hybrid format where you're accessing part of your instruction live and the rest of it remotely adds another whole layer of difficulty. So that the fact that our kids are grinding it out the way they are is a tribute to them. I say it all the time, and I defy anybody to challenge me on this. We have the best kids in the district, and they're proving it every day by all their hard work and their commitment in really difficult situations. So.
Yeah,
But I'm going to get off of my soapbox.
I agree. And I am going to ask Ms. Lekrensky to kind of tease out this data a little bit more. I want to do, and we talked about this at our district attendance committee, but we want to do internally compare some data about attendance during your shop week versus attendance during your at-home remote. That'll be interesting data. So
Yes.
We'll get that for you next week and see what that looks like.
Right.
And again, Joe, it is interesting too. This whole new way of remote learning, there's a lot more questions than answers, but I know I've gotten quite a few of our students and aviation crew, jump in if you'd like to. They're actually loving that at-home remote piece. A lot of them says that they could sleep a little bit later. They don't have the long commute. They know what they got to get done. They don't sometimes have to deal with in-classroom distractions, which, let's be honest, there's at all levels, some of the environment isn't always
No, that's true.
on cue for learning. So I don't know. What you guys got any thoughts? How do you guys like being at home and doing your academics? And you could be honest, please. No, really.
I mean,
You gotta lean in.
I mean, quite honestly, it is easier. You can get up later, but
And Logan, you're out of district, so I know.
yes,
Right? You got a little bit of
Yeah, it's like a 45-minute drive.
Yeah.
But it is tiring. Like, you wouldn't expect it to be tiring, but staring at a screen all day is pretty tiring.
Mm-hmm.
But I do agree that it is sometimes easier, especially with the lack of distraction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've gotten. Anybody else want to comment, Connor?
I find that, on what we use is Google Classroom, and it is such an easy management tool, I find, because it has a section where it just is your to-do list. And the teachers in the morning will post all the assignments, and it checks them off as I do them. So I did my math, it's gone. I did my English work is gone. And it keeps me organized in a way that I haven't been, so far.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a useful tool.
I think that's good insight. I never even really thought of that. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else want to comment? No? Yeah, you agree.
It
Everybody
is
agrees.
nice to get the extra hour of sleep,
Of course.
and you are a little bit more organized with Google Classroom, and
Okay.
it's easier to see what you have to do and what you have turned in and finished.
Yeah.
But there is some problems with technology.
Sure.
If your computer or your Wi-Fi isn't working, you can miss class.
Yeah.
But besides that, it is quite nice sometimes.
Do you think to a certain level it's also preparing you for what might come after high school, either industry-wide or at the college level? Because let's face it, this is going to evolve. It already has into something of the future.
Yeah, this is not going to disappear when the pandemic is over.
You know, your brick and mortar buildings in New York and Boston and Chicago, they don't need those anymore. People are working remotely. It's going to be a different skill set from a workforce preparedness. Now, obviously, you guys still got to get fixed planes. We got to do that in person. I mean, there's some things we're still going to do in person, but there's certainly going to be a.
Yes, please don't fix the plane that I'm on remotely. I beg you.
Abe, okay,
This one
Mr.
was built in my
Mr.
base.
Olari, take the
Please.
take
Please.
the nut on the left and attach it to the fuselage.
What's a fuselage?
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, appreciate your feedback on that.
We haven't even asked them. They're talking. We haven't even asked them to introduce themselves.
All right,
Why
let's
don't we-
do that.
Why don't we do that?
I'm all over the place.
It's okay. It's
Alex, you're the ringleader today. Why don't you why don't you introduce yourself and then introduce your classmates?
My name is Alex Shanowski. I am a junior in aviation technology. This is Ava. I can't pronounce your last name. Also a junior in aviation technology. This is Logan Hansen, also from aviation, and Connor Carey from aviation.
All right.
From our junior class.
Mantovani, correct? Yeah. Am I saying that correct? Close enough?
one of us, Mr. O'Leary.
Okay. All right. And Connor, I got to ask you, now that you're 11th grade, point of clarification. First name, legally O'Connor?
It is O'Connor.
And, okay.
Yes. Yes.
And you prefer Connor?
Yeah,
Okay.
Connor. It's easier.
I always wanted to ask you
That
that.
always throws me when I see it in print.
Yeah.
I even remember that back to when I was processing your application. I'm like, because sometimes it's last name first, first name last. I'm like, wait a minute.
It's the first time I've ever seen a kid with a first name Carrier. What is that?
Yeah.
No, it's not. It's
Two last names. What's that all
Yeah, what's
about?
that? Okay. So that's interesting. And that's a family name, I take it, which is probably
yes.
why they named you
Yeah,
O'Connor.
it's back there. My mother's uncle or something
Yeah,
around
cool.
there.
Yeah.
It's something.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing with that. All right, Alex. So you got so much to talk about. Beg to be on the show. No, I'm only kidding. But no, thanks for offering.
well, it is true. Alex did approach us about having aviation on the show, so we said absolutely.
Yeah. So you want to just start with maybe anything in particular?
Sure.
Just kind of go through where you folks are at, how the end of last year impacted your hours towards your cert, the general curriculum, airfreight power plant, all that stuff. Maybe remind the listeners about the intensity of the program and how it's FAA oversight.
Yeah.
All right, great.
So when we shut down last year, it did really kind of interrupt our flow because we were really chugging along with our subjects and getting our hours done, getting all of our classwork and test work done. And when we shut down, we obviously can't get our shop time in, so we can only get our classwork time in. So we came back, we had to hit our remaining subject again. So our pace was slowed down, but we were able to get back going. We've blasted through our subject we left off on. We had one test left. We've gone through that. We've moved on through welding, which was our subject right after. And now we're on to our subject after that, metallic structures, which we're halfway through already. But yeah, it was pretty tough to figure out how we were gonna, take that on and figure out a way how we could do that. But we did find a way, and aviation is a very, very tough subject. It's very important, and it is very, very monitored or heavily monitored by the FAA because it's serious. You can't mess up on this stuff because that's how, fortunately, some people die. So. It's very intense. It is very hard. You have to study, and pay attention all the time, but it is very rewarding in the end because it is a very, very nice field to get into, and there's lots of money to be made.
And just to piggyback on what Alex said, when we did shut down originally, there was a big scare of how are we going to get hours? Because we're already so tight on time that it was like, how are we going to get through this? Because if we don't get our hours in, are we going to be in the summer of senior year? Could we be even longer than that?
You have no idea how many hours of sleep Mr. Wilson and I lost over that during the closure, especially with the graduating class of 2020, which were really in a bind.
Yep.
Just so that our listeners are aware, it's possible. It's not optimal, but it's possible to do our other programs remotely. There's certainly enough curriculum to get us through the period, as there was the period of closure, but aviation's a little different because of the FAA oversight, because of our FAA licensed program. There's no way around the hour requirements. There's no way around the contact time. So this presented a problem which was potentially damaging to the students, especially last year's graduating class of seniors. And fortunately, because of our good relationship with my friend Bob LePage, Undersecretary of Education for the Commonwealth, we were able to get an exemption from the governor's order to get the seniors back into the hangar in July so that they could finish their hours. After doing some very complicated arithmetic, Mr. Wilson and I figured out that your class, even though it was going to be tight, would be able to recoup your hours without having to dip into extra time like vacation time. So, but I kid you not, there were some sleepless nights.
And the system, what that was, hatched up was actually, really well thought out. We just did all of our bookwork out of school.
Right.
So everything that was, papers, worksheets, packets, everything was just done at home on the computer. And we got into shop on that first week, and it was, all right.
Game on.
Game on, hands-on work. We were welding first thing. It was like smooth. It was seamless the way that they just paired off. There was a little bit of recap, trying to remember the things that we learned during the book work, but it was mostly seamless.
I hate to ask this, but I know it's a reality. Do you guys have a contingency plan if we have to go full remote? Of course, everybody's looking at the news and the data.
It would probably be the same.
Same deal.
Get all of our.
I'm guessing it would be the same.
First.
We haven't
We haven't really talked about
We
it.
haven't got briefed on that yet.
We don't really want to think about that.
I know.
Honestly.
I know.
Hoping it does not happen.
But at least, like Connor said, at least there was a plan,
Yeah.
and you know that you can execute it.
We also have a context now for dealing with it if it should happen a second time. And my knee-jerk reaction would be to seek an exemption. As far as I'm concerned, aviation, actually all of our shops, we say it all the time. There's 12 businesses under this roof, right? And they're all essential services. Everything that's happening here is an essential service, whether it's aviation, manufacturing, et cetera. So I have no trouble beating down doors and looking for exemptions if we need them. But let's pray to God it doesn't come to that again.
I hope not.
Don't want to do that again.
Yeah. Not optimal.
Hey, do you guys get nervous? I just thought of this. I got a lot of questions for them today.
Please.
I must have missed all this airtime that we've missed. Do you guys get nervous when the federal inspectors come in?
You can cut the tension with a knife.
Can you really?
Yeah.
I mean, they're not mean. It's just how important how they think of us is. So you always have to make sure you're not doing.
Do they ever take you aside and ask you questions, or
they can? But
they can.
I don't remember. I don't recall them doing.
Like
that
if you're
to
working
me
on
in
something
class.
important, like say I was to be removing something, they could be like, "Oh, where's your technical data? Like, show us how you're doing what you're doing this in accordance with."
Okay.
They can ask. They haven't asked me personally. I don't know
Yeah.
if they've asked any of us, because Mr. Wilson, can talk to him and he explains and he shows them everybody and what they're doing and he explains it so that we don't have to. But yeah.
Does he say all right, guys, the feds are coming in today. Tuck
mean,
your
usually they let
tuck
us
your
know.
shirts in.
There's definitely a warning.
Something among
Yeah.
those lines.
It tends to be a warning, like, all right, guys, come on. It's time. There's
Do something.
Well, even us,
I get a text. FYSA, which is military speak for your situational
Yeah.
awareness, because as you know,
But even when
Mr. Wilson is retired Air Force, I just get a text. They're here.
yeah.
They're
But even like when the department comes in, the Department of Ed comes in. I mean, even us as an adult, it's like, okay, you're like, another agency coming in.
Mm-hmm.
I used to get like that with superintendents, not with our current
No,
superintendent,
it's
Mr. Zaporowski.
low impact. In the nervous.
Our former principal here, very familiar with his demeanor.
You
but
know what?
It's the unknown. That's
On the positive side, when the federal inspectors come in as they do quarterly to take a look at our program, cognizant of the fact that we're the only the third high school program in the country and the only one in the Commonwealth, they come with a posture of wanting us to be successful. It's in their best interest to ensure that we're successful, not just for the reputation of the FAA, but also for the potential net positive impact for employers in the region in an employment area which is experiencing a critical shortage, right? It isn't in anybody's best interest to ding a program unless it really deserves to be, because the program is there to help the region's bottom line. So when they come, I'm always impressed about how collaborative they are, about how friendly, and they really are. They're Tom Bazanson from these guys are wonderful guys that are really invested in helping us ensure that our program is successful. So I want to thank them because we owe them a big debt of gratitude. We couldn't do it without them.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. We've been ramping up tours for 8th graders because I can't do my middle school visits. We're not doing
Can't do
shadows
open
at
house.
this point. So I've been chugging everybody around the school in the afternoons, and 4 or 5
Very aggressive schedule, Mr. O'Leary's.
bags under my eyes for you guys at home. But no, I mean, we get to aviation, and every time we give the tour, we talk about just and I was going to ask you guys this too, just about the dynamics of the aviation program. I mean, do you ever kind of sit back and say, "Oh my God, I'm a high school student, and I'm in a federally approved high school program, only one of 3 in the country, and the only one in the Commonwealth and New England."
Yeah.
I mean, does that pinch yourself like?
Me and Logan will look at each other.
It hits you
every once in a
sometimes.
while.
Look at what we're doing right now. Like, we're working on airplanes.
We're in school.
Like, my father says that to me all the time. He's just like, I can't believe you're doing this in high school.
You guys are at the hangar.
The amount of we were removing a wing from one of the aircraft, and like one of the times me and James were like, we're in school right now. Like, we just looked at each other. We were like,
I mean, that's the coolest thing. Not that you don't work hard, because I know you guys.
Oh, it's hard work.
You're
Definitely.
committed, but
it's just it's fun work.
Yeah, it's fun.
how about like outside, like on social media, or when you're talking to your friends at Westville High or maybe Gateway or Southwick, whatever? Are they like, what? What are you?
not going to say it's a bragging.
We always
Yeah,
have to
but it's a
explain-
bragging point.
I've always had to explain what it is. I mean, all my friends know now.
And
but
then they're all jealous. They didn't come here.
quite honestly, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I know that's not what we were doing when we were
No,
juniors.
sometimes, and Mr. Langone and I, we talk about it when you're just in the trenches constantly. You don't often stop and think about like, oh wow, Westfield Tech, we have an aviation program, and you guys, you're literally in the trenches. Like, oh my gosh, I'm part of something that's really kind of special. I mean, this is something that's going to resonate with you guys.
It hits me when I'm out and people ask me questions. Oh, hey, you're the principal of Westfield Technical Academy. I understand that you have an aviation program. And then I start talking about the program to a stranger who has no reference point, and then it hits me. And Mr. O'Leary's right. When you're in the middle of it every day, you kind of, it's like everything else. You kind of take it for granted. It's just there. But then outside, it's a very different story. And then I feel very, very fortunate and very proud, actually.
It's very cool, yeah. Hey, I want to ask them about their plans and what they're thinking. I don't know if we want to take a break.
Oh, Pete, what do you think? Good time for a break? All right. Pete says thumbs up. We're going to take another quick break, and we will be back.
Good King Wenceslas looked out on the feast of Stephen, when the snow lay round about, deep and crisp and even. Brightly shone the moon at night, though the frost was cruel, when a poor man came in sight, gathering winter fuel. Hither, page, and stand by me, if thou know'st it telling. Yonder peasant, who is he? Where and what his dwelling?
Sire, he lives a good league hence underneath a mountain, right against the forest fence by St. Agnes fountain.
Then bring me flesh and bring me wine, bring me pine logs hither. Thou and I will see him dine when we bear them thither. Page and monarch, forth they went together, through the rude wind's wild lament and the bitter weather.
Sire, the night is darker now, and the winds blow stronger. Fails my heart, I know not how, I can go no longer.
Mark my footsteps, my good page, tread thou in them boldly. Thou shalt find the winter's rage freeze thy blood less coldly. In his master's steps he trod, where the snow lay dinted. Heat was in the very sod which the saint had printed. Therefore, Christian men, be sure, wealth or rank possessing, ye who will now bless the poor, shall yourselves find blessing.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
Join us the third Wednesday of every month with Selectman Joe Didi and his take on everything Southwick.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Now, if I pin you for more of a Tony Bennett.
And we are back. Welcome back to Tiger Talk Live, all things Westfield Technical Academy. Back in the flow with Rob and Joe. Mr. Olari, we were going to talk to our assembled crew about their future plans, even though they are juniors still.
Okay.
That's not as far off as it might feel in the winter of your junior year. It all goes pretty quickly. So
Sure. So, when we have our guests, I like to hear a little bit, because once kind of you settle in shop, our interface with you gets a little disjointed because you guys are on your way. So just kind of talk a little bit about like the process of you coming here, taking aviation, now that you're, 2.5 years into it, almost 3 years into it, like where you're at, what you like about it, and kind of what you're thinking might hold in the future. And Ava, I'm going to start with you.
Oh, God.
Lady first, if that's okay.
Okay.
You'll be great.
Wait, so what do you want me to start
Well,
with?
let me ask you this. What middle school, there was 2 middle schools, right, when you came here? So were you north or south?
I came from South Middle.
Okay, so you came from South Middle.
And it was still South Middle at the time.
Yeah.
Tough decision for you to come to Westfield Tech, or were you pretty focused as to what you wanted?
The thing is, I wanted to. Like, I knew I kind of wanted aviation, like, in the back of my head. But then I decided, like, I don't know if I want to go to the school. And then I took the tour of the regular high school. Then I'm like, no. I'm applying for Westfield Tech.
And I'd like to ask you guys, the reason Mr. Langoni and myself like to ask you guys this on air is because there's a lot of parents and grandparents listening right now, not only in Westfield but outside of Westfield, that have to make an educated decision about what's the best pathway for their child. So I think hearing from you guys, because I would just push this school because I've been here 20 years and there's no other place I'd
Yeah.
rather be. So I'm very tainted. But I think when they hear from young adults about how that process unfolded, I've gotten feedback that helps them. So sorry to interrupt, but I
No,
just
it's okay.
want to let you know why we do this.
Yeah. I forgot the second question.
Yeah. So you decided to apply here.
Yes.
You went through exploratory,
Yeah.
which our freshmen are doing right now.
Yeah.
They're almost done. And then you guys have to make a pretty big decision. You have to self-select or declare, if you will, kind of like in college, your major, your concentration for the next 3.5 years.
Yeah. So I put aviation as my first, of course. I put manufacturing as my second. I so wanted aviation. I was stressed out the whole time after the 1 week. Like, I need to get in here. Like, I don't want to do really anything else. So then I finally got in, which was a huge relief.
Yeah.
So you did manufacturing, aviation. Do you remember what your other two were?
My other two were electrical and I don't remember. Wait. I seriously don't remember.
Construction.
Sure, we'll say that.
Okay.
All non-trad.
I can check
which
the
is
data, Joe.
fantastic.
Yeah.
All non-trad stuff.
I'd be happy to
Fantastic.
check the data. We still
Yeah.
have your file. So.
Yeah.
So your experience has worked out, I take it.
Mhm.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
All right. So where do you what do you see in the future?
Well, I definitely want to stick with mechanics for a bit. I
Okay.
want to, learn more about that. Well, like as I am right now.
Mhm.
And I haven't decided fully, but I've been interested in probably engineering, maybe, as after mechanics.
Aerospace engineering?
Yes.
And I think Jared Fournier. You guys remember
Yes.
Jared?
Yes.
I think is he still at Wichita State
I think so, maybe.
doing aeronautical engineering?
Probably.
I think
Probably.
so. Yeah. I know we got to connect. Well, I know Mr. Wilson does a good job, but it'd be good if we knew where those
1 year, 2 year follow-up.
where the kids were and how they were doing. I think Mark was at Mark Frenchette was at Gulfstream. I don't know if
Yes.
he's still
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Fairly sure you're still there.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that's all cool success stories. And did you, prior to you coming here, were you involved like with Wright Flight, or did you do any flying? Like, do you
I
have a
didn't,
passion for
actually.
aviation, or?
Before that, I was like, you know what, I have a slight interest in it, so I'll try it. But I didn't do right flight or anything. Like,
Okay.
I wasn't interested in like flying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just kind of figured it out,
Yeah.
huh? Yeah,
Oh,
that's
that would be cool.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. How about you, Logan? I know your pathway's a little different because you're one of our out of district
Yes.
folks that we have
From
here.
Southwick.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it was a good school. It's just I like personally working with my hands more. Like, and I learn better hands-on.
Mm-hmm.
So when I remember shadowing here, and this was before the hangar was even finished in aviation, and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever, and all these airplanes, and
Yeah.
I had always been into cars, but then I saw the jets take off, and I'm like, whoa, I want to work on those.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you were pretty focused when you came
Yeah,
here for
I knew
aviation.
that I wanted aviation. I mean, I put auto body as my second.
Yeah.
I would do that too, but I really wanted aviation.
And I remember the lengthy discussions when you were shadowing and with your parents about
Yes.
the application and coming here because
I was transferring schools. I knew
Yeah.
pretty much no one. Well, I knew Ava from other activities, camp, that type of thing.
yeah.
That's about it. Like, I
Yeah.
was completely transferring schools.
Yeah.
It was a big decision.
So if folks are ever wondering, or if they're listening, oh boy, you take kids from all over. How's that work? There's certain rules and regs that apply.
It depends on the sending district.
Right.
For districts like Gateway, who typically use us as their CTE school, it's basically a non-issue. For districts like Agawam, South Hadley, West Springfield, and a few others that belong to the Lower Pioneer Valley Ed Collaborative, it gets a little trickier because their ordinary CTE school is CTEC on Brush Hill Avenue in West Springfield. So that means that kids in those districts will be sent there unless they want access to a program that isn't offered at CTEC, in which case then we're capable of offering them space here. So there's a little different dynamic, but certainly in ninth grade in the exploratory process, we can accommodate most situations, and we do so very happily. We have, the lion's share of our enrollment is Westfield, but we do have, students from many, 16 or 17 other sending communities that really give a lot of rich diversity to our student body.
Mm-hmm. And there's no way.
Southwick is another collaborative district.
They had programs, but it was the way that they do it is it's half days, and I wouldn't be getting nearly as much shop time. And again,
Very, very different delivery system.
Again, work on airplanes. Like what other school has that?
So it's worked out
in
for
the
you.
country. Yeah,
right?
it did. Really did work out for me.
Good. And what are your plans?
I personally
if you've thought
would
about it,
like to pretty much like Ava said, start as a mechanic because you got to in aviation you have to build up trust before you get to work on, like when you first start, you're basically just going to be pulling panels off of airplanes and that's about it. Stuff where you can't, make the plane not fly anymore.
Right.
That's about, I would like to be a mechanic.
Yep. Good.
And just work my way up. I would like to eventually get to avionics because I like computers. So I think working on the avionics part of an airplane is exactly what I would like to do.
How would you define avionics?
That's basically
for
GPS,
my own,
that type of thing. That basically a dashboard, in a car.
Okay.
Avionics is the flight instruments. And
Sure.
All the new ones are computerized. They're all it's just one screen in there that shows all the different things.
Mm-hmm.
Every little button and switch.
Yep.
Avionics.
Hey, I'm curious. Do you guys get involved at all from a curriculum and a delivery standpoint with this whole Boeing Max 7? I think it's the 737.
We talk about it.
Would that malfunction with the software?
I just listened to a radio.
We
story
definitely
on that
talked
the other
about
day.
it.
Yeah, we've talked about it in class, and
Yeah.
it was if you want to talk about it, it's a combination of things. It wasn't specifically one person's fault. It was the system was meant to prevent something. That the motors on the airplane were bigger,
Yeah.
so they caused more weight in the front of the airplane. And that system, the MCAS system, was meant to counteract that.
Right.
And it was a faulty sensor that was telling the MCAS system that the nose was way higher up than it was. So it would make the plane nosedive. And the pilots weren't trained properly on how to shut it off.
Right.
It was just kind of supposed to be a system that was there that they didn't ever need to do anything with.
Yeah.
And that was just, like I said, many people just...
Yeah. Unfortunately, there was 2 crashes. I think that's just really cool, though, how they bring real life situations into your classroom.
We would when it first happened, they had it on the board when we walked into class. And they're like, all right, we're gonna troubleshoot this. What do you guys think's wrong?
That's what
it
I
was just like a small little brain teaser
Mr.
quiz.
Wilson had this,
That's what I was getting.
And
at.
that's
Yeah.
what we whittled it down to was the sensors. And then it came out that's what it was.
Yeah. Wow. That's pretty good. All right. Who you want to go next? What was that? Ding dong.
Producer Pete, what was that?
We heard a doorbell in our ear. Anyways, Alex, tell us about your venture, your pathway.
I came from North Middle when it was still North Middle.
Doorbell.
And I did ride flight 7th grade.
You did, okay.
I had 2 siblings that went here.
Kenny and Kev.
Yeah, Kenny and Kevin.
Yeah.
Before my tenure?
Yeah, just before. Yeah.
Yeah, and they all told me to come here, so I considered it pretty heavily.
Yeah.
You came in and to our school and told us about what we could do here. I did do a shadow in 8th grade of manufacturing because I came in wanting to do manufacturing. It was either manufacturing or auto tech, but then I realized we had an aviation program here. So then I came here and went through the 1 days and all that process of freshman year, and came down to the 1 weeks. I whittled it down to aviation, manufacturing, and auto tech and collision. I put aviation top of the list and stressed out the whole time, even though I probably shouldn't have been. But what do you know? I ended up getting in.
It means you cared and you took it serious.
I think that was probably the hardest I've ever worked in a week.
Yeah. And how about your future plans? Have you given it any thought yet?
Yeah, I've obviously I would like to start as a mechanic and slowly work my way up.
Are you still flying a little bit?
No. Flight lessons they're not cheap. They're quite pricey.
Yeah.
And that's really not something I prioritizing at the moment. But
Okay.
I would like to work my way up
Sure.
as a mechanic. The military is always an option there.
And a good option.
Yeah, very
Yeah,
good
very
option.
good
We've had people from Air National Guard, the Air Force, the Navy come in. I've been thinking about the Air National Guard time to time. It's a very, very, very good job opportunity. But yeah, that's probably my ideal plan so far that I've come down to.
Cool. All right, Connor, we got about 3 minutes left. I don't want to cut
3
you
minutes,
short.
all right. I
So
can do this in 3 minutes.
I know you can.
Speed run it.
So I was originally at St. Mary's.
Oh, that's right.
And me coming here was not influenced by anything. That was just like my teacher said, my guidance counselor said, you can go to this open house, you can go to the different open houses. And I went to this one, and I saw the whole building. And I saw aviation, and I had already done right flight, so I was like, oh, I could do that. I'm good with airplanes. I can fly them. And I went over to Mr. Wilson, and he scared me when he gave me a big old speech about.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear him.
Me?
No, Mr. Tulumas just.
I think he wants it on air. Go ahead. No. You're on air now, Mr. Tulumas.
Tell me, Mr. Tulumas. Tell me.
He walked out. Report cards will not be on paper.
Okay, thank you. Anyway, sorry, O'Connor.
It's all right. Mr. Wilson gave me this big, this is what we work on, and it was all he was explaining to me all the general program stuff, which is physics and a lot of math and science and thinking out of the box, and I was never good at math, so I was instantly
You're in good company. Neither was I.
I was, that's not my strong suit. So we raced down to this side of the building, and I saw construction, and I said, "Oh, I could do that. I can use a saw." So that was my plan going in, and then I did the tour. I did the tour, and I still only saw this half of the building because in the back of my mind I was like, "That's not my strong suit. I shouldn't even try." And then I saw manufacturing. I said, "Oh, manufacturing and construction and graphics," and I went, I'm charismatic. I could do the radio because that's when they were first talking about the radio.
Sure, there you
I
go.
said, "Oh, I'm charismatic. I could do the radio stuff. I'm good with people." All right. So then I came in with that as a plan. I'm gonna do graphics for the radio, and then I finally did the 1 day of aviation. I said, or I could do aviation. I could do that. And then I followed it. I followed it to the 1 week. I tried my best self-promotion, making sure I was good with every other teacher, every other shop teacher. And I worked real hard, got in. Like everyone else has said, that wait time is stressful. You're waiting. And you see your name on that paper, you follow along. Aviation, you did it. Here I am.
Yeah.
It's a process.
And it's a
but good.
competitive process, too. All right, awesome. Thank you.
I just saw producer Pete in the windows going like this. So.
You know what you want to do real quick in 30 seconds?
The rest
Same
of them,
thing, mechanics, and then take it from there? Awesome plan.
All right. We want to thank our guests. We'll definitely get you guys back after the first of the year. So thank you. It's always wonderful to have you on the show. Thank you, Alex, for beating our doors down like almost bullying us, Mr. O'Larry, if you will, for a chance to get on the show. Only kidding. So again, everybody, please don't forget to place your orders in culinary for Christmas treats. Don't forget our Christmas wreath and centerpiece sale, 10 to 2 today at the back entrance on Greylock Street in Horticulture Tech. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, stay warm, and we'll see you next week.
Bye now.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org.
Support for community radio on WSKB